Something happened with my webcam, so you guys are going to get the troll today, which is fitting because we're going to be talking about Wikipedia. That seems to be the biggest troll website of the internet. In order to understand why I'm saying this, you need to look at what's happening in the gaming industry. Because right now in the gaming industry, some of the most arrogant and most undeserved well-paid people seem to be the consultancy groups. They go from company to company in order to make sure that the games are sanitized and are as unoffensive as possible. And they got a lot of attitude. They're incredibly arrogant, as I said before. And one of the employees from one of these companies called Sweet Baby decides to go out of their way to harass a Brazilian individual. And of course, this creates a backlash. The community is outraged, like, who does this person think they are? And it created this entire controversy. Now, if you go on Wikipedia, you're not going to get any context of what happened. The way they describe it is that somewhere out of the blue, for no reason whatsoever, gamers decided to target this particular consultancy group. Now, I did a little bit of investigation, and I was like, well, why don't they mention the whole story? Why don't they start from the beginning? And apparently there were people that actually did try to show the harassment that the employee of Sweet Baby was doing towards the gamer. And they were showing the actual tweet where the harassment happened. And the editors were like, well, source. It's like, well, here's your source. Like, it's the actual tweet. No. See, we on Wikipedia do not deal with original sources. We require a publication. We require a publication that has written the story so that we can put it up. And they go like, well, Niche Gamer wrote the story. Like, is this not good enough? No. We need a respectable publication. So basically, they will not print a story unless it's from a respectable publication, but the respectable publications have no interest in providing the context either. So therefore, on Wikipedia, even though, like, you see the original source, you see what actually happened, they will refuse to speak the truth. And I'm thinking, like, if they're doing this for video games, I mean, it's one of the most trivial things you can imagine. Like, who cares about video games? It's entertainment, right? I mean, sure, you know, people have a passion about their entertainment, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change, like, the grand nature of things. But if they do it for, like, small things like video games, what do they do about politics? And luckily, we have the CEO of Wikipedia in order to enlighten us.
We took a very active approach to disinformation and misinformation coming into not just the last election, but also looking at how we supported our editing community in an...
So they're like God. Like, only God knows the truth. But apparently God has to step away a little bit because now Wikipedia is also in the room. So I just want you to understand, there are no more like two sides of this conversation, that there's no like different opinions or anything. No, that is the truth. And of course, Wikipedia has the truth. That's very interesting. Now, I don't think they're willing to share this wisdom. Like, I don't think they're willing to teach you how to also be able to discern the truth. I don't think, like, humanity can do it. It is just Wikipedia that is able to have access to the quote-unquote truth.
Unprecedented moment where we were not only dealing with a global pandemic, we were dealing with a novel virus, which by definition means we knew nothing about it in real time.
Yeah, but, like, Wikipedia did. Because they had the truth. Like, no one knew anything about it. It was unprecedented. And I gotta say, the censorship during the pandemic was unprecedented. Like, I actually did know what happened in the Soviet Union. And I assume that even in Nazi Germany under Goebbels, the censorship wasn't that tight. Like, you had actual doctors with studies getting censored. And then it was revealed with the Twitter files that even people who spoke the truth, if it went against the government policy, right, so if it went against politics, they would get censored as well. Of course, like, the CEO from Wikipedia doesn't mention this. You have to go and look into the Twitter files. But that's another conversation.
And we're trying to figure it out as the pandemic went along. And so we really set up in response to both the pandemic, but also in response to the upcoming US election and as a model for...
Again, it's not just the pandemic, but it's also the election, right? So, like, when it would be the most important for people to have freedom of access unrestricted, they are not allowed by the gatekeepers of knowledge, in which case Wikipedia. Like they are the ones that are going to decide which information is fact and which is fiction. So for instance, the Hunter Biden laptop story, completely made up. Trump-Russian collusion, we're going to publish this. And it's shocking to see the CEO coming up and basically saying, yeah, I mean, we got this privilege. Of course, we're going to decide and editorialize based on which information we allow and which one we don't. And I gotta say, a private company can do whatever it wants, sure, but there is a reason why Wikipedia is not considered as a website that you should ever cite in an academic paper. And anyone that uses Wikipedia more than just like a surface level of knowledge should be immediately discarded. I mean, I already made a video where I talked about the history of the chair. And because someone mentioned that people in Africa didn't have chairs back in the day until Europeans brought the chair, the editor went, no, that's racist. You can't add it in. And I'm like, dude, it's such a benign thing, right? Like, if for such a benign thing you're adding this level of censorship, like even if it's true, you just don't want the public to know it, why would anyone trust your website?
Future elections outside of the U.S., including a number that are happening this year, we just obviously went through yet another Israeli election. The model was around how do we create sort of a clearinghouse of information that brings the institution of the Wikimedia Foundation with the editing community in order to be able to identify threats early on through conversations with...
Yeah, that's not your job as a private company. Your job is not to identify threats. You're not the government. No one elected you. But I guess like this is how the internet is moving right now. You have governments like the US, which is not allowed to censor because they have the Constitution, which guarantees people's free speech. So they cannot personally censor, but they can pressure private companies, and we saw it through the Twitter files. We saw Brazil doing the same by pressuring Elon Musk in order to censor. So they're laundering the censorship through the private sector in order to make it look like, well, it's not the government censoring, it's just Wikipedia that just happens to agree with the government. And by the way, the government isn't like this amorphous blob of people. No, the government is the established party, right? In this case, right now, is the Democrats in the United States. So it's basically they're censoring on behalf of the Democrats. Now, what's also important to point out is that the Democrats are human beings, like you and I, and they have their own interests, and their interest is to maintain power. So they're going to censor anything that challenges their ideology. Does that make sense? Is it reasonable to say? I think it is, right? So, to me, it's very concerning what I'm seeing, but more concerning is the people that agree with this and they think that it's a good thing. Like, I would definitely be worried if the politicians representing me require censoring dissenting voices in order to maintain power. Because you may ask, it's okay, like, it happens that I agree with what my politician is saying this year, but like, what if in 5 years I disagree? Will they censor me as well? The answer is, of course, yes. Look at this. Member of the Council of Foreign Relations, National Democratic Institute, the World Bank, U.S. Department of State. Why is such a person in charge of the Wikipedia? Like, how more political can you get? Do you think they represent the interest of the public, or do they represent the interest of the elites? Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.